yourselves. Anyway, thank you guys for being here again. Now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who has been a huge part of CALI. He also serves on the executive committee for the Conway Area Chamber of Commerce's board of directors, and is a business owner, an investor. He loves Conway, and he's a big fan of leadership. I'd say that. I mean, he's been very involved and does a great job of providing ideas for us and things we can execute, and he's right there with us alongside us the whole way. So please welcome to the stage from Rock Pond Pros, Pete Tanguay.
Before I talk, one of the disadvantages of being the first guy is nobody introduces you. And although he's made a big deal about CALI would be without me, it really started with Leo Cummins. He was the first person to lead it off, and now Ed Link. So Leo, Stan, and Ed, I'd like to give these two guys who have been the CALI leaders from the chamber. All right, if you see me reading up here, it's not because I like to read or that I don't know what I'm going to say. It's because if I didn't have these notes, we might be here all afternoon, because I love to talk. So thanks, Ed, and good afternoon to everybody, especially those of you that are the 2019 graduates. This is the party for you. And as has already been mentioned, there's a long list of people. We recognize them at the annual meeting of the chamber, and when we have everybody that's been through FCLI or CALI, and it is overwhelmingly obvious that the people that have been through these programs are the backbone of this community. And we expect each of you graduating today to carry on that great tradition, and we expect that that will happen. So each of you were recognized as a future leader. That's how you got in the program. Somebody in your company said, this is a future leader, and for this person to be involved in Conway, we want them to go through CALI, and they paid your tuition to do that. And then through the CALI program, you learn the 2025 vision, which is to keep Conway moving, active, building, working, safe, creative, and learning. And more importantly, you met the people in the community that make that happen on a day-to-day basis. So today, we celebrate your graduation, but more importantly, today is the commencement of your active leadership in this community. So for the next few minutes, I'd like to kind of ratchet it up to the next level from local. And I'd like to kind of take it to the global context of local leadership. And as I often like to do, I would like to start with a story about my family. So I grew up in Colorado, and I was a family of 5 kids, and I was right in the middle. And Lorraine, my sister, was 6 years younger than I was, so when I went off to college at age 17, she was 11. So, as you know about high school, I probably didn't know her that well, and I left for college. And then she got out of high school and out of college, and then she left to join the Peace Corps and lived in Papua New Guinea for 2 years while she was in the Peace Corps. And while she was there, the pilot from New Zealand who flew into her village kind of got to liking her and would do flybys over her hut, and they'd meet out at the airstrip. And years went by, and pretty soon we had a wedding in Colorado, and it was Wayne and Lorraine Taylor. And then they moved off to the Seychelles Islands, where he was a pilot, and he flew inter-island traffic, and they had a great first few years of their marriage, but he wanted to fly bigger planes. And so they moved to Dubai, and he got a job with Emirates Air. And he's been traveling the world in the largest passenger plane ever since. And so they have 2 daughters, and they've been raised in Dubai and New Zealand. And Lorraine's taken good advantage of the staff discount, I think it's free, to fly anywhere she wants to in the world. But for me, that kind of meant I really didn't know my sister at all. And this all changed last year when I sold Rock Pond, and I learned that she was publishing a book. And the book was called Debrand You. And that was the book that each one of you received at the retreat at the beginning of the year. And so Lorraine and I, we decided that we would do a video conference using Zoom, kind of like a GoToMeeting or a WebEx or FaceTime, whatever. And we started talking once a week going through this book. And she's either sitting in Dubai or New Zealand, and I'm sitting at my house, and we're going through Be Brand You. And our weekly conversations have continued ever since. We had one this week when I was in Boise and she was in New Zealand, and really this is where a lot of this presentation came from. So Lorraine was real involved in Toastmasters International, which is a nonprofit educational organization, about 95 years old, and they teach public speaking and leadership skills through a worldwide network of clubs. And she was the first club president of the first online club meeting for Toastmasters. And when we would talk, she would describe how they would have these meetings, and there would be people in all these different countries on a train in Tokyo, and sitting on the coast in Ireland, and running through a subway or in an office or in a home, and they would have these meetings where these people were connected. And this week I learned that there was a man who was 94 years old who had been involved in Toastmasters for over 50 years, including he was the past international president, and his health was preventing him from being able to attend meetings. So after this first online meeting, just kind of get the picture, you got somebody that's 94 years old, globally connected, wants to go online to continue his meeting with people. He attended his first meeting. And then he contacted Lorraine after that and said, "Now, I'm not going to tell you how to run your club, as you're doing a fine job as the president. However, I would like to mentor you on how to manage a global team." And this club that he was in was a collection of 45 people from 28 countries. And this began an online mentoring relationship with a guy who had been involved in this for over 50 years. This relationship would have never existed without the connections available globally in the world today. So Lorraine coordinated an online memorial service after he died, and they kind of knew each other for about 14 months. And there are people from all parts of the world who knew him got together and shared stories online about his life and his impact on them and their communities throughout the world. And this storytelling memorial service went on for hours. So here's the key takeaway from that story. Local leaders who leverage global resources and relationships have a significant advantage over those who do not. It wouldn't take many conversations with you here today to recognize or to validate that Conway has a significant global component to our local community, and it's growing every day. And I'm going to give you 4 examples, although if we had time, I could give you 40. But just think about these 4 things that are happening in Conway today as a challenge to you to be a global local leader. First one, a company we all know about, Axiom. It began here in Conway, and it went global. And the employees at Axiom, and I'm sure there's some of them right here, they have to understand and build relationships with global customers and partners to be successful. No option. They have to. There's another company that's represented here today, Fret Monkey Recording Studios. It's a Conway-based international recording studio, and it's an international group of musicians from over 10 countries. Every month they host guitar nights in Berlin, Manchester, Edinburgh, Belfast, and Columbia, as well as participate and put on annual guitar festivals like the one they did on Pettigee Mountain about a few months ago. Right here in our community, that's happening. Our Chamber of Commerce seeks out communities around the country that are doing it right, that are doing things that we want to do, that we can get on a plane and go visit with, so that we can not just see it, but to build relationships that allow us to collaborate with them, so that when we decide we're going to renovate an old movie theater, an old theater, we can talk to someone that's already done that. So that kind of networking is happening. And then the 4th one, Governor Asa Hutchinson, Mayor Bart Castleberry, and Conway Chamber Commerce President Brad Lacey, they recently announced that DXC Technologies was adding 1,200 jobs here in Conway over the next 3 years. But let's look at this in more detail, because I think it's a great way to highlight what I'm talking about. And I'll say, before I say any of this, I don't have any connections with DXC. I learned all this from their website. But they have 6,000 customers. They have over 200 global partners. And they are in communities in 70 countries. And they just committed to 1,200 more people to join that global group right here in Conway. And on their website, they say their success is linked to their belief that inclusion and diversity matters. And I'm gonna quote, it says, "At DXC, we harness the unique contributions of our people to give us our edge. We value every idea and person behind it. All our people, every ability and disability, past, current, and future. Our inclusive culture powers our results, and the company grows only if our people grow." And that sounds like a line out of my sister's book, Be Brand You. That it's really about you connecting in with the big organization that makes the difference. They go on to say, "We believe in equality, and our position as a global technology leader allows us to serve diverse customers and play a leadership role in the communities we serve in 70 countries with 200 partners." And so this inclusion and diversity drives business, fuels innovation, is important to their partners, attracts and retains the best employees, and improves the communities we work and live in. So here's the takeaway point. To keep our local community moving, active, building, working, safe, creative, and learning, we must leverage global connections, conversations, insight, information, and relationships. We must become proficient in the tools and techniques that make this possible. It might be time to stop telling our kids to turn their devices off and start asking them to help us understand how they work. And at Rock Pond Pros, we call this impacting people locally, globally. So to conclude, what does this mean to you as a graduate of the 2019 CALI class and as an emerging leader in Conway? 4 points. Through CALI, you've learned the history of our town, and you've met the passionate people who are working diligently to provide a quality of place for the people who live here. Now, equipped with your personal brand, your core values, your passions, and your desires to be a leader, you're at the beginning of an exciting local, global adventure. And so you must commit to continual learning, using the essential tools and methods to build relationships that cross geographical, cultural, religious, political, and other boundaries here and throughout the world. Now more than ever, local leaders must be globally connected. And I can't wait to see the impact each of you have on our community, impacting people locally, globally. Thank you very much.